Hi, Candace. So good to see you. Thanks for being here. Nice. Thank you for subscribing. I'm on a little early just to get stuff set up. Okay. Whew, I'm so nervous. Hi, Mom. How are you? Thank you for coming again. All right, I'm going to light my incense here. I'm live right now, actually. Your mom and Candace are both on. Oh, so maybe just later. Yeah, you can sit over there. Thanks. You want to pop in and say hi to your mama? Oops.
This is a reminder. Brigands.
All right, well, I am just shuffling my little oracle card deck just to get a little inspiration and wisdom, a little bit of wisdom for today's session. Sometimes I like to swirl my oracle cards all around like it's a little cauldron and mix it all together, and then I just kind of stick my hand in and excavate and trust that I will put my fingers on the card that is meant for me today. So today I've pulled this one. Oh, I haven't pulled this one before. It says, relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. It's an interesting title. So let's see what that says. Number 26. Dear Sacred Rebel, this moment in your life requires great courage. Fortunately, you possess that in bucket loads. You are being asked to allow yourself to be lifted out of one level of known reality and into the next level of higher voltage reality. Higher voltage reality requires a more absolute trust and a heart that is surrendered to the greater heart of the universe so that life can happen to us, through us, and with us more quickly, more radically, and more beautifully, and more boldly. You are now being invited into this new reality where things happen quickly according to bold, loving optimism. This is a reality not only of potential, but of manifestation of the great big cosmic yes. To access this reality, you have to leap from known waters, and others may think you're crazy for doing so. This feels really appropriate for today. You have to leave behind the dark, weighty grip of hesitation, procrastination, second guessing, and the belief that you have to do everything on your own. You may fear for your life. How will you be safe in the wild electrical pulse of so much aliveness? How will you function without the hazy, sleep-inducing paralysis of playing it safe, taking too long and placing lesser priorities above your sacred art of life? How will you hold yourself back if you don't hold on to fear? You don't need to worry about such things. Life is wild, but it is also wise. It is a force of startling, raw awakening at times, but it is also the natural process of evolution where all things mature according to a seasonal cycle in right timing. You are part of, not apart from, that process. The invitation to shift gears and jump on board the express train of life will feel exhilarating and perhaps also challenging. When you are in the hold of the darkness, you will feel pushed to turn away, to imagine that it's all too much. Whew, this card is like for me. And to create excuses about how your desires aren't grounded enough, that you are being too flighty or flaky, or that you're not living in the real world. That is fear talking, not truth. If the sacred rebel is not awakened, we will continue to live in a culture drenched in fear and distrust of nature. Those without awakened hearts don't yet understand what nature knows. She knows timing. She knows life and death. She knows the creative process. She just knows, and she can be trusted to support us, her own creations, in becoming all that we can become. Does this mean that we become passive and just flow along like a limp leaf detached from the tree and blown about randomly by the breeze? No. Being free of the dark hold empowers us to take up our cause. This means being free to act and affirm the intuitive feelings we have by following up on them. This is painting like someone who has lost their mind, completely free and from the heart. It also means writing as though you have no conscious idea of what you're writing, even as the words are streaming forth upon the page before your rather curious eyes. And it means speaking about your work, never hiding it away. Hi, Joy. So good to see you. Thank you for coming on. I just pulled an oracle card and I'm reading it right now. Um, Instead, just let it be what it is. It might fly, it might endure, and it might not. That's exactly what this is. This is all just an experiment. All of nature, including you and your passions and dreams, will be what is needed when it is needed and how it is needed according to wisdom. We just have to trust in this within ourselves and within nature herself to throw through the flow of life and participate. You are asked to go within and imagine diving deep off the edge of what you have known. There is so much more calling to you now. It's your time. Leap. Woo! Holy cow. That is especially potent for me today. So I'm really grateful for that opening and just getting grounded in wisdom. So today I had started working on this. I don't know if you remember, but last time I pulled this vessel out that I've been making. I got to get the camera angles right. And I decided to start carving it. And as I was in the middle of carving it, I thought, you know what? I wonder if people would enjoy me watching this. I mean, enjoy watching me carve this. So I stopped, and now I'm going to keep working on this. So this piece is just beyond leather hard. So like I can't really push it and manipulate it anymore, but it's not bone dry, so it's soft enough to carve. And I'm going to be using this particular carver. It's got kind of a V, hard to see, there you go, kind of a V notch in it. And I think I'm used to carving sitting down, so I'm going to try to do this standing up. But basically, I'm just taking this and I'm just doing random sweeps here. I just really wanted it to look kind of organic and natural and kind of, drawing the eyes up toward the top. I don't really have a plan. I usually don't. um, I have found that even when I do have a plan, most of the time it goes awry anyway, so I end up changing it. But I'm kind of liking the way that that looks. It's interesting. And then I go over it a little bit with my fingertips and kind of soften it up a little, those edges. But the idea with this is that when I glaze it, it's really gonna, I'm probably gonna put some kind of a darker wash in here to really pull the eyes up. So carving is always a little nerve-wracking because if you make a mistake or if you don't like what you carved, it's a little bit harder to come back from, but it can be done. You can patch stuff. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Thanks, Mom. Kevin's mom is on. She's Jackie. Kind of looking at both sides to make sure I remember what I did on the one side so I can try to repeat it on the other. And I'm adding just a few more little notches. I like that. That looks good. Yes, Joy asks, am I varying the length and depth of the strokes? Yes, I am. So not really depth so much. I kind of have the same pressure on each stroke. So I'm just kind of lifting, but sometimes I will vary the length more. Up toward the top, I want it to be a little bit shorter. So I'll just kind of do some of those. And then, but I want it to look organic. So sometimes I'll just flick it and see where it lands. So yeah. Carving is one of my favorite things to do because it's very meditative. And there's like, a, to me, there's a very high reward from the effort. It just often looks really interesting. And, I love, I, I'm really want my pieces to have a natural looking component as much as possible. Um, and so I like carving like randomly because it really, to me, mimics so much of what's in nature. So let's see. I want to make sure I don't go down farther on one side than I do the other. So that's about the farthest I go down over here. So I'm going to just kind of try to visualize where that is over here. And I think this one right here is about the same distance down as this one and this one. So that's about as far as I'll go, probably. not trying to make it entirely symmetrical on both sides, but I want it to kind of look similar. So here's one side, here's the other side. I think that's coming out pretty good. Let's see. I'm going to look at it straight on. And again, I'm taking my fingertip over some of these because this blade that I use on this particular tool is really sharp. And so I'm just kind of wanting to soften these up a little bit just so that it looks like it's kind of coming out of the vessel, or it's like part of the vessel as opposed to just a surface treatment, So like I want it to look like it's a little bit integrated. I definitely don't like this new side as much as I like the other side, so I'm going to try to do a little bit more over here. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with it. Oh, thank you for asking that, Joy. She's asking, what am I doing with the other end of the tool? The other end of this tool is like a little bit of just like a sharp pencil. I mean, it's made out of wood, so there's no lead or anything in it, but it's just kind of a sharp point. And I'm using it to kind of, uh, there's some like little clay boogers that are left in some of this, and I'm just using it to clean out. And this camera's blurry when I get close. Sorry about that. But I'm using it to just kind of clean out the grooves that I've just carved, because they've got some little clay boogers in there. You can also use this end sometimes to just make another little line if you want, but it's not quite as sharp as the blade, so it makes a little bit of a duller mark. The trick with anything like this is trying to figure out when to quit. um, Especially with carving, I tend to want to just keep going because it's so fun. And I see all these little areas, but as with anything pottery related, you kind of got to know when to quit, both in terms of dryness. This is still pretty moist, but it's carving. It's at the perfect place to carve because it's really, this blade is pulling through really nicely. But once it starts getting drier, you would want to pull it back a little bit so you don't crack it. But anyway, I think I got to get a little bit more of the boogers out. I got to find another name besides boogers. I understand. So yeah, try to get as close as I can without making it too blurry. I think I'm gonna leave it there. And I definitely like the first side. This is the side I did the other day. And this is the side I did today. And I don't like it as much. It's too straight across here. So I'm gonna try to bring it down a little bit so that it has kind of a nice curve like the other one does. let's see. So on this side, I've got kind of a, see how I've got kind of a U shape? That's what I'm trying to repeat over here, but I don't want it to come down too much farther because then they won't match. So I'm just going to extend some of this carving down a little here in the middle to try to give it that rounder shape. All right, well now I think I'm just going to leave it, let it dry a little bit more, and then I'll come back in with like a dry brush and clean up some of this. Okay. One of the things that I talk about a lot with clay is that it's a two-edged sword. It can definitely, just like with any endeavor, it can bring out your perfectionistic side, right? And also, but it's also the greatest teacher for me of letting go of the perfectionistic side, because uh, first of all, it can bite you in the butt, because it can make you work on a piece for way too long. And second of all, um, things change. Like when I put a glaze on this, it's going to completely change this anyway. And most of the time, people aren't looking at the same tiny little minute detail that you are. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. I kind of love it. It's very weird. I don't know this opening. I mean, can it be any more obvious what that is looking like? But I love this carving. So I think I'm going to leave it now. Oh, I got to put my initials at the bottom. I started carving it, but it was too wet. I recently changed my quote unquote brand name from Tara Lee Pottery to Tara Lee Ceramics, because I felt like ceramics is a little bit more true to what I'm making these days, which is mostly sculpture type pieces or vessels. Pottery, I love the word pottery. It's always been my favorite. And also, sometimes I think people, especially that are into the art world and stuff, they consider pottery more of like stuff that's useful and functional. And sculpture or other pieces like that are usually considered more ceramic. But anyway, so I had a stamp that had my Tara Lee Pottery symbol on it, but now that I've changed my name, I'm going to need to figure out, I got to get a new stamp and figure out what I want it to look like. So let me see. I'm going to try to use this tool. Man, this is hard to see, isn't it? Maybe I'll put this behind it. There. It's like just a little ball stylus, very, very small. This is a Sgraffito tool from Diamond Core Tools. I'm just trying to erase the T that I had put in there before because it's off center. So. Oh, I just heard about this cool trick. Let me try it. So I'm going to put a piece of foam down so that I don't mess up my piece. I'm going to set it on the foam. And apparently you can put a piece of plastic over where you want to carve. And let's see. I'll actually use a ball tool, see if this works. Whoops. So this is not working. Well, I guess it's not too bad. The plastic is supposed to prevent a lot of excess boogers, for lack of a better word. Just realizing I don't have a great tool to use to get through, but I don't like that. That's not working for me, so I'm not going to do that. I have to practice that a little bit. Okay, so I carved my initials in the bottom, and you can see that there's a lot of clay boogers on there. That's because it's oh yeah, my mother-in-law says and pilling and S a good word for booger. I think she meant pilling is a good word for, yeah, pilling. That's great. Anyway, it's because this clay on the bottom is a little bit more moist than what's up here because it's thicker down here. So that's why when I carved into that, it wasn't really clean. No worries, I'm just gonna let it dry. So I'm going to loosely cover this with plastic because I'm all done with it now. Make sure everything's cleaned up. And then I'm just gonna set it on my shelf and let it naturally dry. Look at how cute this is. This is the first bird that I've made. I was doing a pinch pot demo for my Monday night hand building class, and I found this. I have this hand building book, and it said you can make a bird out of these two pinch pots, and so I decided to follow their instructions, and I made this really cool bird, and I can't wait to glaze it and see what it looks like. Anyway, it's odd. Yeah, and that bird's so cute. All right. Okay, so this is the piece that, thank you, Joy. I knew you would love the bird. um, this is the piece that I was working on last week, which you guys remember that had the huge crack in it, and then I put the crack back together, and I just started adding coils to the top. So I haven't done anything to it since then. It's a little strange. It's kind of an oval on the bottom. So it's taking on an oval shape, and it's leaning forward a little bit right here. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I'm just going to keep adding coils and we'll figure it out. It feels pretty good. It's definitely stiff enough down here to handle more coils. Putting this cardboard down so my piece doesn't stick to the metal. And I'm just going to roll a few coils and we'll build it up and see. Okay, so my mother-in-law asked, how long can these clay pieces sit aside before they dry out? Well, I have this thing called a damp box that I made. And so I took like a plastic bin, just like a hefty bin, and I made some plaster um, in a bucket and then poured the plaster into the bottom of this plastic bin, the plaster in the plastic bin. And the plaster is now the floor of the bin. And the plaster, if you keep it moist somehow and you keep your bin sealed, it creates a thing called a damp box. And it keeps humidity in the piece. And so I've had, I got to show you something. So I just opened my damn box the other day and I was like, what's in here again? I have probably 8 pieces in there. And I pulled out this strange creature that I started making probably 9 months ago. And I've just kept it wrapped in plastic in the damp box. Some people don't wrap it in plastic. I don't know. I don't feel like I did a great job on my damp box and it doesn't have a super great seal. So I wrap my pieces in either plastic or a wet paper or a wet towel. But this has been in there for like 9 months. And um, I pulled it out the other day and it was still totally workable. It was completely solid. So over the weekend, I spent time hollowing out. I cut it in half and I hollowed it out. And now I got to add more. I got to add all the details to it on the outside. Check this out. Isn't that wild? I don't have any idea what this thing is going to be. I'm going to add horns to it or something up here. And I think I'm going to make, it's tradition in pottery studios to have a kiln god or goddess. Um, it's just a symbolic thing that I think probably was co-opted from indigenous cultures, to be honest. But it's just kind of a fun thing you make. And there's this saying, that all of your firing is up to the kiln gods. And so I don't know, I'll probably make this my kiln goddess somehow, make her look pretty neat. Hi, Maggie. There's my daughter. Hi. And Joy asks, so you can add fresh coils to a piece that's been in the damp box? Yes, because this is still pretty moist. Like I could push on this and deform it. And so this feels pretty moist. And so, yeah, I'm going to add fresh coils onto it. You don't want to let it get too dry. And I'll keep it wrapped while I'm rolling some coils. Hi, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining. Love that you're here. All right. This is all the clay that I hollowed out of that sculpture I just showed you. And then I kept it really moist and then I re-wedged it and now it's ready to go again. So I'm just going to use this to pull off chunks for my coils. Gosh, I'm shedding. My hair is just everywhere. I'll keep that clay here in this towel. I'm running out of room for this coil. Yay, my family's here. Kevin, are you still on here too? All right, so there's my coil. What I'm going to do on here is I'm going to score the top of this. I'm just going in here and kind of gently trying to push this back out a little bit so it doesn't lean forward so much. But we'll figure it out. Another really big lesson I've learned is to try really hard not to judge a piece early on or midway or even most of the way through a process, because so many times um, it just turns out differently than you thought that it would, and you never know what's going to come out of it. So like right now I don't love the shape of this vessel, but I'm just going to keep adding coils and playing with it as I go and see what comes out with it. Sometimes that's what's nice about just doing a random piece, is get to play with it a little bit. Getting out my vinegar again, which still have the janky container. I will fix that today. I'm adding vinegar to the top of this. A little bit of vinegar to my coil. And then my instructor at the community college gave me the tip to, once you slip, score it again after slipping. Can help. So I've been doing that. I'm kind of being strategic about how I'm placing this coil. So this front part, because this is the part that's leaning forward, I'm going to put the coil right directly on top. And then in this part toward the back of the vessel, I'm going to put it a little bit on the outer radius so that I can try to start bringing some clay a little, try to start evening out so that this doesn't become heavy on one side. All right. Now, I wouldn't suggest this technique for beginners, cutting through your coil while it's sitting on your pot, because I've cut right through them before and had to repair the pot, but I've gotten much more careful about it. Normally, I would probably take the coil off and cut it and then put it back on, but I'm bypassing that. And I'm going to save the rest of this coil in case I need it later. Megan asked, what am I listening to today? And I'm listening to my husband's music. He created some music for me to play online on my live streaming so that I wouldn't get in trouble with YouTube by listening to Spotify and listening to commercial music. So I've just got his music playing in the background, which is so fun. So I am now scoring the ends of this coil because I'm going to be attaching them together. Adding a touch of vinegar. Okay. And then, so that's where they're attached. Now I want to, what I typically do is I like to make sure that the coil end to end attachment is really secure before I start blending it into the product below. I'm actually going to close my big garage door, because I am a little bit worried about this piece becoming too dry while I'm working with it. So, okay. So now I've got that blended pretty good together, and now I'm going to start blending it into the vessel. And again, I'm using this tool, which is called a thumb. I love this tool. Only had it for a few months and I love it. So this I use to help me pull down and blend this coil into the piece below, into the vessel. And here in the back, because I want it to come out a little bit, I'm just going to blend it mostly from the bottom. And then here in the front, I'm going to blend it from the side. That probably doesn't make much sense, but okay. So now I have that blended in around from the outside. Now I got to blend that coil in on the inside too. Okay. So now I've got it attached all around, and now I'm just going to clean up that coil by using my scratch tools. First I use these guys, just kind of, this helps move the clay around, spread it a little bit more evenly, get rid of seams. All right. So now you can see that I've blended it even more with that scratch, that serrated rib. And now I'm going to come in with a smoother rib and try to compress and take out all of those scratches. This is a really satisfying. I find so much of the repetitive kind of processes with coil building to be really soothing and meditative for me. I just enjoy. It takes quite a while, you know. You add one coil at a time, and you kind of got to go through all this. But you know, as opposed to just throwing on a wheel. But there's something I really like the slowness of it and the repetitiveness of it. It can feel meditative. So it's one of my favorite things about hand building is the slowness of it. It forces me to slow down. Okay. I'm not going to worry too much about making it super clean right now because I'm just going to keep adding coils to it. But you can kind of see from this profile how this one coil is starting to, you know, because I put it on the back, it's popping out just a little bit, which is good. That's what I wanted it to do, to counterbalance the other side. And I'm just going to keep repeating that process for a while. Let me get my stool. My knee's kind of bothering me a little bit, so I'm going to try to sit here and see what I can do. And I realize you can see my other thing. Sorry, guys. There, that's good enough. Now I've got to do the man spread because I don't have a table here. So I'm leaning up against a cabinet. But anyway, thankfully you can't see that. All right, so I'm going to score again. And I'm going to roll another coil. I'm turning this music up because I don't know if you guys can hear this song, but this is a song that Kevin wrote about one of our first dates. And when we moved to San Francisco, we went on a sunset sailboat cruise. It's called Flying on Glass. That's a tipping heart. Disasters in the stars. I really think she'll go this time. Fiery gust of wind. Just you and I. We can go down together. Ripping through the air. Flying on glass. I never knew we could go this fast. Water in eyes, hungry souls, hang on to me, I won't let go. I know, me too. And baby, I'll but vessels do capsize when out to sea. But honey, if that happens with me, we can go down together, ripping through the air, flying on glass. I never.
Ultram 1909367.
We could go this fast. Water in eyes, hungry souls, hang on to me. So now I'm going to try to actually do 2 coils at one time. See what happens here. All right. Walking through the valley of the shadow of death, heart rate rising with every step. Can't help feeling all the eyes on me. Now I've heard a noise and I know I gotta flee. What's up ahead? Shadow in the trail. Horns on the edge, spade on the tail. Think I'm melting, coming undone. It's time to panic, it's time to run, time to run. Time to run. No one can save me, I'm the only one. I'm full on sprint in the opposite direction. Need a place to hide, I need some protection. Spectre on the loose, and he wants me dead. The faster I run, the closer that he gets. Going full speed, yet I look back. What did I do to deserve this attack? Have I lost him yet? I'm tempted to check. When I feel hot breath breathing down my neck, it's time to run. Time to run. All right, so I did 2 coils this time, which I don't usually do, but I just want to see. I've seen some videos where people who are coil building will like pile up like a really, really long coil and just pile it up about 4 or 5 rows up and then blend it. So that's what I'm doing here. All right, so there's 2. All right, let's go. All right, so there's the 2 coils blended into the outside. The shape is cracking me up. Now, because I've been overcorrecting, now it's going, let's see, I gotta figure out how to, now it's going whoop, whoop, I don't know. This isn't sitting down, working for me to sit down very well. I think I'm making these coils a little bit thinner than I probably should be, because I'm having to, when I'm pulling down the clay to blend it, I'm worried that it's a little bit too thin up here at top. Maybe not. Maybe I'm worrying needlessly. Just feels like it. The nice thing is that I can always just throw in some clay there if I need to. I'm adding a little bit of clay in a spot inside where that coil was a little bit thinner than I would have liked, so that I can make sure that the seam, that it stays blended and that there isn't a crack there. And now I'm going to go along, and what I like about this tool is that it's got this natural kind of arc here that fits really nicely in the, for the shape that I'm trying to make here. So I'm just gonna go around here and kind of compress. All right. All right, so now those two coils are attached, and now I'm going to do the same thing where I use the serrated rib to blend and distribute the clay. I'm also realizing with this camera setup that because I'm right-handed, it'd probably be better to have my camera angle set up over here instead. But oh well, it's kind of squished over there, so I don't have enough room, I don't think. Do the same thing on the inside. All right, that feels good. And now I'm just going to take a non-serrated rib and smooth and compress. I'm trying really hard not to sing on camera, but I really want to sing. Save everybody's ears. Okay, I think that's good. So now that's an interesting shape it's starting to take. This feels a little starting to come out again back here. Still got the curve here. So we'll see. Just kind of smoothing things out inside just so it's, if I decide to leave this vessel open, I want it to be clean as much as possible. I'm kind of into this shape. I think I'm going to keep going in this direction for a little bit, seeing what happens. All right, I'm gonna roll a couple more coils. So when I'm rolling this coil, it's getting a little, oftentimes it's very common that when you start rolling the coil, it gets flat spots as you're rolling it. And so what I'm doing is I'm twisting. I gotta get the. Sorry, I'll get it. I'll figure it out. I'm twisting it one end one way and one end the other way, laying it back down, and then starting to roll it. And that often will get rid of that flat spot. Part of the problem is I'm trying to roll too big of a coil. So let me cut this one down. And I'm the type, I like to kind of turn my coil over often because I find that I tend to roll unevenly. So one side of my coil will start to get a little thinner than the other side. And so I try to turn it because it helps me feel like I'm keeping it even. as I turn it. I think I just have a tendency to make one side, probably my right side, a little bit flatter, a little bit stronger than my left. And I think I'm going to try to leave this coil a little bit thicker because I felt like the last one was too, I was a little worried it was a little too thin. Note to self, I need to eat lunch before I start these recordings. My tummy is barking at me, or these live streams. All right. I'm just going to do one coil this time, just because that's all I have rolled, and I want to make sure that it's going to keep going the direction that I want it to go in terms of the shape. So right now, I think I'm just going to do one coil at a time for now. We'll live out by the sea, we'll cut the chains and change our names. Together just the three on the California. On the California. I need some more, vinegar. Okay. Again, blending the two ends together. And then blending down. Okay. Okay. There's another one attached. Interesting. Look at this shape. So, like, I'm kind of seeing, I don't know what I'm seeing yet. I don't know what I'm seeing yet. I want to say that I'm seeing the shape of a body coming out, but I don't actually know if that's what's going to happen. So, okay. I feel like I have that blended pretty good. Go in with my non-serrated rib and start smoothing. Okay. So it definitely is taking a interesting organic shape, and I'm kind of into it. In fact, this front part I might push out even a little more. I think I'm going to use this rib, and I'm going to try to push this part out a little bit more. All right. I'm feeling like the bottom is becoming a little bit more dry because I'm handling it a lot and it's been unwrapped. So I'm going to just put a little bit of plastic on the bottom. Well, hi, Riggins. Come here. Come say hi. Come here. Come here. No, Riggins, come here. Here's the dog I'm dog sitting. This is my brother and sister-in-law's dog. Ah, I can't get it in the camera. Here, I'll go up here. His name's Riggins. Isn't he cute? Say hi. Aw. Did you come out to go potty? Mm-hmm. Did you? Oh, that's nice. Yes. Thanks. I think I'm going to keep going with this same profile. So what I've been doing is actually, I'm going to keep trying to go in this direction. Like, gosh, I'm sorry, I got to figure out the camera thing. It's like opposite of what I'm looking at, which makes it hard. So you can see this profile. I think I'm going to keep trying to go this way with it. Buttering beds, yes. Can it get any better? I don't think so. So I'm going to start trying to come in a little bit up here. So I'm going to score sort of the more inner part of the rim. And then here, let's see, I'm going to keep coming out. So I want to score more of the out. Oh, I'm putting slip on or vinegar on before I have a coil rolled. So got to roll a coil first. Yes, Megan says make it even more wonky. I agree. I would say that's been probably the most used adjective when it comes to my pieces is wonky. And, I've embraced it. I kind of like the wonky, organic, handmade look. So, okay. Oh, that's the best coil I've rolled yet all day. I love it when that happens. My mother-in-law Jackie there, she bakes cakes, and she makes the most amazing cakes, um, both in terms of taste and in terms of decoration. She's masterful. So it's been really cool because there's actually a lot of overlap between cake baking and well, not baking, but decorating, and pottery. And so we have this like common language that we can share when we get together and we're talking about our passion projects, because she is, just an amazing baker, and she's always looking for new things to try and new tools. And so anyway, yeah, it's been pretty fun because sometimes I go to the cake decorating department at the craft store to look for tools, because they can translate over pretty good. All right, so placement, I'm going to place it a little bit more on the inside here, and then a little bit more on the outside here. There we go. Mom, are you currently working on in your kitchen right now? You working on a new recipe? I feel like every time I see you post recently, it's you've tried a new recipe, and I'm so jealous that I don't live close to you and get to be one of your taste testers. I made this coil a little too long. I got to cut it again. All right. I feel good about that. I'm trying to keep all my clay scraps really moist, wrapped up in a wet towel, so that I can easily reclaim them without having to go through a bunch of process. Okay, so that coil is now attached and blended in. Oh, tarts, yummy. What kind of tarts? And yes to the chocolate croissants. I honestly don't know. My mother-in-law is like so talented with baking. I don't know if I know my favorite thing anymore. Um, I think it actually might be just her chocolate chip cookies. Um, they're just like the most perfect, but it also could be your chocolate cake with raspberry filling. It could be you made something recently with lemon, I think. Anyway, it's probably good that I don't live close to you because it would be really hard to resist your treats. I don't know how you aren't like, you know, the size of a house. Cash is coming over. Yay. Cash is my nephew. Oh, pistachio macarons. Macarons. Mm-mm-mm. Pistachio anything, please. Wow, time flies. I can't believe it's been 90 minutes so far. That's exciting. Now you can really start to see how it's coming out here. It's flaring out here now because I've been placing each coil above, kind of on the outside of the radius, which is causing it to flare there. And then I'm going to start trying to bring this side in a little. Maybe make it pull in one direction and just see what that feels like. Okay. right, that's wild. Kind of love it. Let's see, I've got another 15 minutes that I think will be on, so I think I'll add one more coil. Just cleaning it up a little bit inside. Down toward the bottom, I've made kind of a mess. All right. This is interesting. I feel like I almost want to exaggerate this direction, you know, like really make it feel like it's going zoop. I can figure out how to do that. All right. Cover that up. All right. I'm definitely getting more consistent with my coils as the day goes on, which is typical. I think I'm going to keep with the same profile and do the next coil exactly the same so that I can continue to build on this profile, which I'm really digging. But I don't want to make it too top heavy on one side because I don't want it to tip over. So just got to be careful. Okay. Okay, that's attached. And now I gotta blend. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, I gotta do the inside. Okay, well, we've got this very interesting shape taking place. Oops, I just stuck my whole fingernail in there. Okay. Yeah, no idea what this is going to be. And that's okay. I think what I'm going to do is maybe get out my sketchbook and try to imagine what this might want to become. It might just end up staying a weird, wonky vase. I haven't decided yet. I feel like it needs a little bit more. I feel like it needs a little bit more, like height and volume. So I'll probably keep working on it, manipulating it a little bit. Um, Remembering that clay shrinks pretty significantly, and so that's always something that kind of bites me in the butt. Is I often will make a piece and make it make it the size that I think it's going to be, and then I get it out of the kiln and it's shrunk significantly and looks a lot smaller than I intended. So that's a lesson that I keep having to learn over and over again. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do with this, but I'm going to play with this shape a little bit in my sketchbook and see. The other thing is, if I decide this isn't really what I'm wanting it to be, I could literally just cut it off like right here and start coiling it up again. That's one of the things that I am my ceramics instructor really encouraged us is like, you don't want if something's not working for you, don't be afraid to kind of cut it where you want to cut it and just keep trying something different. So maybe I'll do that, but I don't know yet. I'm kind of liking this. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I've loved having you in the studio. My plan right now, my experiment right now, is to come on every Tuesday and Thursday at about 1 and stay on for 90 minutes, 2 hours. I mean, this time flew by for me. So who knows? But and then also I'm hoping to put together. Well, I am planning to put together more storytelling videos about some of my sculptures and also just like a vlog. So thank you so much for coming. And I know, yeah, Kevin, it looks like a twister from the side view. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Ooh, that's cool. I like that idea. Anyway, thank you all. I love you. I appreciate you. And we'll see you hopefully down the road in the studio. Take care.